Thanks for tuning in again, everybody. We're back with your favorite podcast, Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze. Oh, my.
No. Oh, no. Can I tell you something?
Go ahead.
Washington, a guy named Cabrera, that's his last name, he looks like you.
You think Andrew looks like Asdrubal Cabrera?
Yeah.
I know who that guy is. He's the...
Not exactly a compliment.
I could see it. He's the Latin
I think
version
Washington's
of me.
gonna win.
All right, we'll take that. He's the Latin version of you. There he is. You think that guy has a much fatter face than Andrew? Okay, and that one maybe where he's a little skinnier. Okay, maybe I could see it. But that one there, he looks like a full size mini me right there, right? Doesn't look.
Ian, so talk to us. Tell us how does it feel? You know, you're in first grade here. Most of your kids are second grade. Most of the kids are playing with dolls, and here you are predicting the Western Conference Finals. Like, you knew it. You called it from day one that Kawhi is overrated. How does that happen?
Well, first of all, me and my dad went to a card show, and I predicted that there was going to be a Zion in each box or a Ja.
So you're saying you have ESPN?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I predicted right.
See the future.
And plus,
so tell us where you came up with your Kawhi thoughts. Tell us about Kawhi.
Kawhi used to have Tim Duncan, Tony Parker, and then he had Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet. I think he was on that team.
Yep.
And he was very good with those teams, but when he's on the Clippers, he doesn't really have anybody that good. He only has Paul George.
And you think those other teams played more like teams?
Yeah.
And you think it was more of a team chemistry kind of thing?
Yeah.
All right. Well, that makes sense. That makes sense. So tell me about the Nuggets. The Nuggets were your pick, man. What do you think?
I think the Nuggets all the time because I think that they can win against the Jazz. They can win against anybody. It's crazy what I think.
You think it's the Nuggets? What do you think about them against the Lakers?
Them against the Lakers, I think it's going to be a tie from 2-2, and then the Lakers are going to score the third and fourth.
So you think it's going to be a 4-2 series? You think the Lakers beat them in Game 6?
Yeah.
All right.
So it doesn't sound like you're very high on Paul George, and you think the other two teams he was on, he had a much better supporting cast.
Yeah.
A lot of today's fans actually think that this Clippers team is stacked. So what are you seeing that the average fan might not be seeing?
What do you not like about Paul George? What do you not like about these guys?
I don't like about Paul George because I really don't like him.
But why?
Because I liked him when he was on OKC, but then he lost the shot at the buzzer. That was very sad.
So
I thought I didn't even know NBA.
Would you think it's fair to say that while the Clippers team is stacked individually, they had some great players, Lou Williams, Paul George, you name it, but when you watch them play, Marcus Morris, you like Marcus Morris, but do you think maybe those other teams Kawhi was on, they played better as a team?
Yeah.
You think that's probably also why Miami's doing as good as they're doing?
Yeah, but I think Miami is a little better than the Clippers.
So what do you think's going to happen to Kawhi's cards?
I think Kawhi's cards are a little bit much when he didn't lose Game 7.
Right, so they're overpriced.
Now they're going really down.
They're going to go way down.
And that makes it good for
Would you buy him now?
I would buy him.
Okay. So you'd recommend buying Kawhi. So let's say Kawhi.
He stole my play.
Let's see. Let's see if Kawhi's Prism card was $6,000, the rookie for a while there, and now you can buy him for $2,000. You think that's a good price, or you think it's still going to go lower than that?
I would buy it for $2,000.
You buy it for $2,000. I think you know what? I think you're right. I made some offers today before this episode on some of those cards. I don't, all of my offers were under $2,000. I'm trying to find somebody who's really panicking the day after, they get eliminated. But all right, so I need a prediction out of you.
You think Ray's
Miami versus Boston. Miami-Boston.
Miami-Boston?
Yeah. Who's going to win the series? Because you already said the Lakers are going to win in 6. How about Miami-Boston?
Miami, Boston.
Remember, this is Tyler Hero's boyfriend you're talking to here on the other line. So
I know, but that.
Go ahead.
I think it's gonna be a Game 7 again.
You think it's going to Game 7? Who's winning?
Who's winning is Hero and I can't even say that name
the Heat
because I forgot it.
Jimmy Butler.
Do
you think the Heat?
Because Jimmy has a lot of experience, and Tyler Hero is a rookie, but he can shoot threes like no other.
Andrew, you got this kid trained. So he says the Heat in 7 and the Lakers in 6.
And plus, I like Hero because I have his Court Kings card.
You have his Court King. See,
It's a cool card.
He's not. It's not that he loves the most expensive one, because here he is saying he likes his Court Kings card, which you also have a PSA 10 optic hollow of Tyler Hero, which is worth significantly more than a Court Kings base card. But you like that Court Kings, right? Because it's like a cool piece of like art, right?
Yeah.
I like
what are the
Court
cards?
Kings card as well.
It's a cool looking card. All right, so
there
you
Ian, someone you didn't touch on, but I mean, you weren't even born during this time, but I think a lot of the blame needs to go on Doc Rivers. This is a guy who's been giving.
Doc Rivers?
Yeah, so talk to me about Doc Rivers. Yeah, what about Doc Rivers?
I know he's a coach.
Tell me about him.
Because he's a coach.
And
I don't really know about him.
How many times?
I don't know what team he plays for.
How many times? He's the Clippers coach, but how many times has he been ahead 3-1 in a playoff series as a coach and lost?
3?
3 times. 3 times. It's happened 3 times.
Can I tell you, and this is a little before your time, Ian, but maybe you know some of these guys. Do you know his roster in 2008, 2009, 2010 Celtics? Let me read you some of these guys he had. He had Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce,
yeah, I know
Ray
Kevin
Allen.
Garnett.
These are Hall of Fame players.
I know Kevin Garnett because I have his card.
The Savage.
But he's in a Brooklyn
Monster.
jersey.
Yeah, that Brooklyn jersey. Your card. So
Tony Allen, one of the best defenders ever.
He had a whole
Rajon Rondo.
roster. He didn't win with them.
He won
I
one
know
title.
Rajon Rondo. I know Rajon Rondo.
And I
so what do you think?
He's not very good.
He used to be really good.
But I think he's going to turn up and score 30 points in one of the
oh, wow. You should go to Vegas and bet that. You get great odds on Rondo dropping 30 in one of these playoff games.
His jumper looks a lot better. His jump shot has improved.
Yeah, it does.
It does look
better,
right?
you think?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Who else? Who else do you like on the Lakers?
The Lakes?
Yeah.
I kind of like,
of course,
Anthony Davis. And did that just score a home run?
No, it's a pop-up. The Yankees are going to win, but we don't really even want the Yankees to win here. You know, it's funny. Tampa Bay's losing. Obviously, we want the Yankees to catch Tampa Bay because, that's who we're chasing now. But if the season ended today, the way the playoffs are, do you know who we'd play in the first round of the playoffs? We'd be a 5 seed in the American League. We'd play against Minnesota, who hasn't beat us in the playoffs ever. So I wouldn't even mind that. You got any other little nuggets of wisdom for our
wild card though?
Yeah, right now they're number 2 in the division, so they'd make it. They wouldn't be one of the wild cards. So any other pearls of wisdom for the listening audience here? What do you think of Jamal Murray?
Jamal?
Yeah, 40 points in a game 7. That was pretty sweet.
Yeah, it was. Didn't he score more points in the other game?
Yes, but not in game 7.
Yeah.
What do you think about Michael Porter Jr.?
Michael Porter is a very good player, but he is a little down this season. And
because why? Because he needs to learn how to play defense?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I think Bol is better.
Whoa! You're going to buy into the Bol hype? Yeah. Why? Because he's tall?
I like that his whole family NBA tradition is tall.
I got a question for you. This is a very important question. The audience wants to know. Ready? Who wins in a fight, Tacko Fall or Bol?
That's a good one.
Come on.
Tacko Fall is a little skinnier than Bol.
No, Bol is definitely skinnier, I think.
What?
I think Bol's skinnier. No, you think so? You think Tacko Fall loses to Bol in a fight?
Tacko Fall has more weight and probability.
Okay, so you think the probability is that Tacko Fall is going to win?
Yeah.
Okay, so he says probably Tacko Fall wins that fight. All right. So far, Tacko Fall, the only thing he's done in the NBA?
Is be tall.
is be tall and let somebody dunk on him in the dunk competition.
Yeah.
And let Kyle Lowry throw the ball over his 19-foot arms. That was a disgrace. But guys, Luca Nation, this is a 7-year-old kid using this reasoning and observation. This is unbelievable. This might be the next Darren Ravel.
Oh God, don't say this. You're not gonna troll people on Twitter, are you? And post crap? Okay, good.
That was just a joke.
A sports player.
You actually want to play sports? What sport? What sport you want to play?
Either baseball or basketball, because I don't want to get hurt. Like I think
playing football.
Tua is.
Like Daddy got hurt
in the first week.
All right. Well, listen, it happens.
But
people get hurt in football. People get hurt in football. Who's the best player in baseball right now?
Voit.
Luke Voit. He's got the most home runs in baseball. Very sneaky play. I like Luke Voit. I put his numbers in the last year and a half against almost anybody. All right, dude. Well, thanks for joining us. This is like a market mover. So what else you?
I want to tell Andrew if he thinks that Tampa is going to win this, but they're down by like 2 to win and 1 to tie it, and there's 2-2 on Lau with 2 outs.
You like Lau?
Bottom of the 9th.
So it's bottom of the 9th. The closer's in. The Nationals are up 2-1. 2 outs. 2-2 count. And
this guy can strike out.
Lau's good. He's in the MVP discussion. He's 2 for 3. You think he's going to strike out?
Oh,
I'm pretty sure he just hit a home run and tied it. He did. He hit a home run and tied it.
As you're watching
called it, dude. Yeah, he hit a home run and tied it. 13 home runs on the season for Lau. That guy's good. Dude, you called that.
Of course I do.
Oh, sorry. You have ESPN. I forgot.
It's ESP. And with that,
dude,
welcome back to another episode, Luca Nation. Welcome back. You know, it's a weird day when there's no sports other than baseball on, right? It's kind of like a little bit of a detox. See, Ian's going through it right now.
Yeah, you hear him? He's all sad. He wants to stay on. He wants to take my place here. I told him it's not that easy to just talk and let Andrew do all the work.
No, man, you're a star, Cage. You know, I said to Lamine yesterday, I was like, if I could buy a card of you, you know, that's a stock that I would want to buy into. Man, I wanted to say that to you for a long time. I think you're a star, and many of the plays that you brought.
It's a goal, especially with Allen and Ginter releasing, this week, and I see everybody posting pictures of, hey, look, I got a Topps card. You know, talk about bravado. You once put something out there in the universe that here's a goal for us. I'll say a goal. I'd love that. Would be cool. We'd have the hosts of the Lucas Tigers and Bronze podcast on an Allen and Ginter card. I see the Jared Carabas, I think I'm saying his name right, the Boston Red Sox Barstool guy. I saw him post his cards that came out. You know, and look what those Barstool guys did. Imagine, you know, going back, 10 or 15 years to when they started. Humble beginnings. But this is a perfect spot for a 30-second thank you to the audience, because we have I like to say our listen count goes up, but what has happened in the last week, I don't know if you guys love, Bro Namath and The Wharf and Jeremy Padower and Chris from House of Jordans that much, but our, with the most recent guest episodes and I guess what we've been bringing as far as the picks, the Slayton picks, and just basically hitting on pretty much everything we're talking about, doing the NFL recap and the NFL preview, our listener count has doubled in the last 2 days. So to the best that I can, I just want to say thank you, because we were growing already, but the last couple of days it's been kind of unreal. So thank you. Thanks for telling your friends, your neighbors, and your enemies, as I say at the end of all of our episodes. But yeah, man. And listen, keep talking to us, right? Keep the DMs coming. Keep letting us know what you want. I'm gonna try to convince Andrew. He's gonna have no time left in his hands, because we're doing, we did an NFL preview, and then Sunday night we did an NFL recap. I don't mind waking this guy up and doing a Sunday morning, preview show. What's going to happen in fantasy, what's going to happen in sports, what card should you buy now, because by the time you try to get on eBay tonight after they have a big performance, it's going to be too late. We people have asked for that. We could definitely do something like that if you like.
I would love it. And you know what I noticed today? Today with it's kind of an off day in sports. No football, no NBA, and it's probably the first time since early August that there was no sports going on. And I know baseball's on, but you know what I'm saying.
Yep.
Way more people are buying today. And it kind of reminded me, when COVID first started and there were no sports, but actually cards started going up because there were so many more people buying.
Yep.
It's interesting to see that today. How many people are putting out posts like looking for Tyler Hero, looking for Murray, but it even reaches out more than that. It's like looking for Zion, looking for Ja, looking for football players. There's been a lot of buying today. And it's interesting to think I wonder if actually in the off season, we'll see more buying and not less. I don't know. It's just something I noticed, and I wanted to share it with you guys. Do you want to talk a little NBA? You want to talk a little NFL, baseball, or go right into our plays today, Cage?
Sure, man. I mean, we can get to our plays. I don't want to belabor the point. Obviously, I do want to talk to everybody about about what our plays are and stuff. But yeah, basketball. Come on, no more Kawhi. I mean, you heard it from the kid, right? But this is it's an interesting time, right? And Kawhi's cards had a lot of hot air, a lot of helium, a lot of fun stuff in them because people really expected him. I don't know if he's going to win the finals, but at least that there was going to be a matchup between him and LeBron that people were, I think, already factoring into the card prices.
Yes, sir.
And his card was one that was kind of, bucking the trend of what we've seen with other cards. It was staying up there, even when everything else was kind of, flat and or heading down. And now, with him being eliminated, probably in a game that, in a series that people didn't think he'd be eliminated, it's going to impact the card. It already has. I've seen, what that card was about $6,000, right?
It was $6,000. I saw someone today sell it for $1,900, posted on Facebook. 1,900, 10 available.
Yeah, so
pretty wild.
Talk about you're losing 2/3 of the value of the card. Although remember, this is a card that was less than $1,900 within the last year. So it's still, if you got in at the right time, you're still making money selling at $1,900. But if you happen to be one of the people who bought it at $6,000, you're not. And I think that's an overreaction anyway. But $1,900, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
I think it's a different. So there were a lot of posts when Giannis got knocked out, like Giannis is a Pippen, he needs his Jordan. I actually think, and try to understand what I mean here.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kawhi is a Pippen. And what I mean by that is it takes a different – so he's the most efficient player I've ever seen. In terms of efficiency, this guy is on a different level, and actually on the defensive end as well. But it's a different level of being able to handle the pressure down the stretch game after game after game. And the Jordan in this scenario, it doesn't always have to be the best player. Like, for example, Ginobili on the Spurs is a Jordan. He's someone who loves the big moment. Fred VanVleet, Kyle Lowry on the Raptors are someone that actually aren't really good, efficient players, but down the stretch, they love the pressure. And I think Kawhi is someone that he didn't really rise to the challenge. I know he had that amazing buzzer beater against the Sixers last year, and we could talk about that, but I think he's someone that's going to come out and get you his buckets, just like Pippen did. You're going to know what is expected of him, but he's not going to turn up and put on the next gear. Think about it this way. Why didn't he shoot 30, 40, or 50 times yesterday, right? If he's so efficient, why not kind of force his hand and really attack? And what I saw yesterday was two Pippins on the court, and Paul George and Kawhi. And there's no question that they're incredible. Like, Paul George is the smoothest basketball player I've seen in a long time, and how he can finish at the rim and his shot, it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's literally art when you watch. But they don't have that mentality, that killer instinct that I'm going to shoot the lights out of this and we're going to go down. Yeah,
I'm with you. It's not always the best player, right? I mean, I watched, well, first of all, Portland. But the other end of the coin, though, is, right, you need to have the talent, not just the guys who are willing to have ice water in their veins, right? I mean,
exactly.
I would take McCollum and Lillard. Both fit the mold of players that'll take that last second shot every single time they need to.
Yep.
And, it's worked for them quite a few times, but they didn't have the horses to run with the Lakers.
Mm-hmm.
But if what you're saying is Kawhi stays there and they need a, an ice water in a vein shooter, someone who's going to hit, someone who makes that team, complete, someone who's going to, want to take that last minute shot. Sure. I mean, I can see that 100%. 100%.
And it's not just that. It's not even just the shot. There's something that happens in the defense's mind when they know that the other player is just in nonstop attack mode. You can't relax as a defense. And I don't think Kawhi put the defense in that position where he's just in nonstop attack mode. No rest. I'm going to attack. I'm going to attack. I'm going to attack. I'm going to attack. Doesn't matter if I'm 1 for 40 or 40 for 40. I'm going to stay attacking. And that's a unique skill, especially in basketball, where if you go a little bit cold, you're like, I don't really want to shoot. But if you look back in history, man, like the people that we admire the most are actually people that are just stay in attack mode, and they're always going to, until the last minute, they're going to keep shooting.
Tatis double play. Come on, I like watching that guy, but
he's been a little bit cold. He's been a little bit cold recently.
He's got a little cold for the last week, so it'd be nice. It's a big game here against the Dodgers. So listen, here's the thing, right? It's a game 7. You have to, if you don't show up with your best that game, when are you going to do it? And those guys showed up with their worst. I mean, Jamal Murray had 40 points, and I think the combination of Kawhi, George, Morris, and Beverly had 42. I mean, you can't at that point in time, you can't pass the torch to somebody else and say, okay, I don't have it tonight. I'll let somebody else get it. And, that's, I think that was the problem.
Dwayne Wade's a good example. Dwayne Wade's not the most talented, but that dude is a killer. That dude will play and he'll compete to the last whistle. Doesn't matter if he's 1 for 40 or 40 for 40. Dwayne Wade is
Kobe. A guy named Kobe was the same thing.
But it's easy to bring up Kobe and Jordan because they're so good and they do that. But I also want people to realize there's people who have ice in their veins who aren't always the best player on the team.
I say CJ McCollum. McCollum is like, that guy just hits like it seemed like every game he's hitting a big shot, and he's not the best player on the court. He's not the biggest, but you're right. There's that is missing. Whereas Jimmy Butler.
Worst shooter I've ever seen. Worst
horrible shooter, but you know what? But he wants the ball in his hand when it's the last shot, doesn't he?
Yep. That was actually a great example.
I'm not a huge Tatum fan. Everybody loves Tatum. I'm not a huge Tatum fan. But, look, eerily similar, his shot at the end of regulation to what Luka's shot was. Remember, kind of the same area on the court? Mm-hmm. And Luka hit his and Tatum didn't. But at least he took the shot. You know what I mean? At least he was like, I'm going to hang on to this. I'm going to let the clock run down, and I'm going to take the last shot, which is what you want to see in your star or the guy who's going to, be your star. Would have been nicer for him and Boston had he made the shot, but at least he took it. You know what I mean? So, listen, I'm with you. I definitely am. We saw enough holes in the Clippers that even if they advanced out of Game 7, I don't think they were going to really give – the Lakers too much stuff. I'm sure LeBron was thrilled that he doesn't have to see, Kawhi. But the Nuggets are an interesting matchup for them too. I mean, I don't know if they have the horses, but I mean, Jokic played really well. He played really well, and if he matches up against Davis, I'm sure they're going to try to take him off the block. He's not going to have 20,000 rebounds like he had in this game. Clippers didn't really have much of an inside presence there to stop him, but. Yeah, man. It's fun, and it's coming down to it. I think, if Vegas were sitting here with us, they would tell you that the odds-on favorites right now are the Lakers, even more so now than they were yesterday when the Clippers were still around. So, it is
without
what it is.
It's going to be closer. The games are going to be closer than it seems, but I think it's a Lakers.
And baseball is easy, right? Baseball. Let's lead into the baseball, right? Because they made an announcement, which is weird, right? Because here we are. We have basically these teams are getting down to like their final 10 games. Teams are in the mid to late 40s of their season, and it's a 60-game season. So, you're talking about winding down to what is the last 20% of the season for these guys. The playoff brackets, people are starting to post them. People are starting to talk about them. But at the same time where you're thinking, wow, these guys got to fight. They got to do this. They got to blah, blah, blah. Basketball was irrelevant to almost what the seed was because there was no home field advantage, and we talked about this. But baseball, these teams, some of them are built for their home stadium. Some of them are built around pitching and bigger ballparks. Some of them are around hitting. The Yankees are built with, that short right field porch. They only want to get hitters who can take the ball out to that short porch. And they're playing in their home fields. But baseball just announced that they're going to have a bubble playoff where they're basically going to be in neutral sites, although actually some of the sites they're playing in, some of the teams that are going to make the playoffs, that's their home field, which is odd. we'll see how it works, right? But basically, it's going to be bubble-style playoffs for baseball. So, you get into the playoffs 1 through 8, it doesn't really matter. It was, number one, it would be great. You had home field. You're playing in your own home stadium, but that's not the case anymore. So it's an odd little wrinkle that they announced now because, as a fan, I would be pulling for the Yankees to get into the top half of the bracket so that they could have a home field advantage, a home playoffs game, you name it. But it's not even something you need to even think about now. And that's a little odd little nugget that I don't know if everybody knew about.
Where's the bubble?
In Texas and in California, National League and American League bubble.
Interesting.
So it's different stadiums, right? Go ahead.
Notoriously. So PSA 10 to a Gem Mint 9.5. What's been like the split between that historically? You've seen cards for ages.
You mean percentage-wise? It depends on the card. But the cards that I look at, that I monitor the PSA 10s on, I would say a good rule of thumb is about 2/3. Like half to 2/3. Depends on the card, right? And it also depends on the 9.5, right? It could be more than that if it's a true gem or it's 9 5s and 10s only, and less than that if it's got some 9s on it. So obviously, not all 9 5s are the same, which, by the way, I believe is the death knell to BGS when you compare them to PSA 10. I mean, not all PSA 10s are the same. Everybody can argue, oh, that's a little off-center. This is a better PSA 10. This is an old grading, blah, blah, blah. But legit, BGS within their own grading has created a different, caste system, different classes of their own BGS 9.5s. And it just makes it much tougher to have liquidity in it.
Agreed.
So anyway, it's,
it's a really solid point, and it's actually going to lead into my play. You tell me, this is going to be a collaborative play because, before we hop on here, I'm always waking up and I do research. I'm thinking, which card do I want to bring Luca Nation to buy? And right now, I can't say that I see a single player that I feel confident in that I bring you his card. But what I am seeing is a completely out of whack ratio of Gem Mint BGS 9.5s to PSA 10s. So Cage just said what he's seen historically is, depending on the card, is about 50 to 66%, right? So PSA 10, if it's selling at 1,000, BGS 9.5, quad 9.5 or higher should be around 666 to 500. I'm seeing it in the 40%, and some even lower than that. And I see it as a real opportunity to buy cards and cross them over. Buy cards, crack them, and resub them to PSA. That's how I would play it. And this depends on the card you want to get, whether that's my market. I always look at Kobe cards, so I always use that as a benchmark. His Topps 138 rookie card just closed on auction for $1,000 for a quad 9.5. That's insane. His PSA 10 was selling as high as $5,000 just last month, and it's, let's say it's selling for $2,200 to $2,500.
Okay. So what's the percentage? What's the price difference? So what is it set at? What it's 2,500 to 1,000? You talking about a PSA 10's at 2,500 and 1,000 for the 9.5?
That's right. A quad 9.5.
Wow.
And that's just out of whack, because what BGS, regardless of if you like BGS, what they're telling you is this card is almost a 10 in all 4 of the categories that matter. And especially if it's a really well-centered Gem Mint 9.5, it's a no-brainer to go ahead and buy that and try to cross that over. Now, you could save up.
Listen, even if it's not about crossing it over, right? I mean, the thought on the card is that it's worth it. The thought on the card is that it's worth the 2,500 or 2,000 as a PSA 10. Then you might as well buy the BGS 9.5 for 1,000 because that's too low. It's like, you're talking about an arbitrage thing. Even if you're not planning to crack it out and cross it over and make it a 10.
Well, here's the thing. Here's how I play it. I'd buy, let's say, over the next 6 months, I'd buy, let's say, 10 of these cards that meet this criteria. I would send them all to cross over. A crossover is not a crack. A crossover is when you send the PSA and you say only if it's a 10, it works. So what I think happens is you win in 2 ways. One, if one of the 5 crosses over, you're already profitable. But 2, I think the arbitrage, the gap between a BGS Gem Mint and a PSA will fix and correct over time.
Yeah.
So I think you have 2 ways of winning on that.
Okay. Listen, it makes sense. There are ways of doing that, right? I mean, definitely, you're crossing it over. But yeah, I mean, look, I think you'd be hard pressed to find a card that has liquidity as much as the Kobe does, and find a card selling at 40% or less than 40% for a true gem BGS 9.5 as opposed to the PSA 10. I mean, that's a problem. That's something where I think you have to take advantage of that, because that card should be at least a half of it, right? Which you've now found a 25% increase if it goes to 1250. So yeah, I mean, I think that's people have started to punish. People have started to punish the PSA 10s of all the Kobe's, and you know what? People are probably punishing the BGS 9.5. I don't know why. I think everything kind of ran, and we're having a little bit of a retrace. But listen, it's a good play, and it's an interesting, different way of bringing about kind of like exploiting a market inefficiency, right? If you don't find a player that you think is undervalued, what you're bringing to the table now is a card that's undervalued. You're not saying the PSA 10 is cheap, right? You're saying the PSA 10 is right where it should be. But if the PSA 10 is accurate, that BGS 9.5 should be $300, $400, $500 more than what it's at. So
I'm telling Luca Nation to go. Let's because someone on the other end of this, someone's a football collector. He's looking at Kyler cards, right? Someone else, a baseball collector, he's looking at Tatis cards. Another guy's a basketball collector. He's looking at Tyler Hero cards. I'm looking within that player. I would compare the PSA 10 to the BGS Gem Mint and run an analysis. And if it's less than 50% of the value, I would go ahead and make that buy. That's a no-brainer. That shouldn't be the case.
See, BGS to me just requires a little bit of research when you do it. That's all. I mean, I don't have too many of them. I bought a BGS card the other day, and you know me, I'm a PSA. But it was one of these weird cards where I'm like, a PSA 10 is a lot of money, and I found the BGS 9.5, just like you're talking about, that is significantly underpriced. I mean, I couldn't even find a 10 in the price range that I was talking about. I think a 10 should be probably, I don't know, an $800 or $900 card, let's call it. And I found a BGS 9.5 for like $300, which, like you, same kind of deal, right? But here's what was weird about it and why I had to do it. I've never seen a BGS 9.5 like this. The surface grade was 8.5. Yep, surface grade 8.5. All three of the others were 10s.
Interesting. Was this the Black Velocity Ja Morant? Because I saw that with that card.
No. But it's 3 10s on a BGS 9.5, and the surface was 8.5. And I look at it. Listen, the case is a little scratched up. The card's from 1996, so the case has probably been around for a while. Probably got graded a while ago, and and so the case has been around. The case is a little scratched, so I haven't even really had I just got it in yesterday. I haven't really had the time to put it under magnification and see what on the surface, whether it's on the front or the back or whatever it is that gave it that 8.5. But I liked it because, come on, it's a 9.5 with 3 10s. That's you don't see that too often, right?
It could have been. That could be literally someone just didn't wipe the surface.
Well, it's weird because it's a hollow. It's a 1996 Japanese Pokemon, one of the 16 holograms. So it might have a scratch on one of the holograms, which obviously would be an issue on the cards. So I'll have to take a look. But I started buying some of those 96, hollow cards at PSA 10. There's just not many of them out there. And I found the 9.5. And it was so cheap comparatively. And it was just a cool, the 4 subs were just interesting. It's worth buying already just for us to talk about it.
I agree. I would not. That's just so Luca Nation knows. That's not the criteria I've been looking at. Mine is all 9.5s, and make sure that the ratio is like if the PSA 10 is 2,000, and the BGS 9.5 quad is 800, 700. That's a no-brainer for me. Bye.
I like it. So my pick, right? We got if you're going on the waiver wire, there's a Colts running back, last name Hines, who was a really nice find for folks, and we were able to give that pick to Luca Nation during football. We were able to talk about that, but that's not my pick, although he's going to be a pretty big waiver wire pickup. So my pick today, I'll spell it all out for you guys, right? Just so that you have the background, the whole deal. So when you're doing your fantasy football, and you pick up Nyheim Hines, especially because Mac is injured. check the receiver here, right? Because Paris Campbell, who was a rookie last year, that's my pick, Parris Campbell, Campbell, had a lot of hype going into last year, but he was injured. And he only got to play 7 games last year. This is a legit college player, played for Ohio State. And he had a huge season in his senior year in Ohio State. You know, he led the Big Ten in receiving touchdowns. He had 12 of them. He had over 1,000 yards, 90 catches. And everybody knows Terry McLaurin, right? You know, a big wide receiver here as well. He was on the opposite side, and yet this guy still had all of those catches. He was drafted 2nd round by the Colts, and you know, really fast. I'm surprised the Raiders didn't take him because, you know, he ran a 40-yard dash in 4.31. And his getting healthy is coming at exactly the right time because now he has Phillip Rivers. And the guy throws the ball a lot. We saw that the Jaguars actually beat him, but Rivers threw the ball 46 times for 363 yards. That's the 2nd most attempts and the 3rd most yards. You know, their defense wasn't doing enough to stop the Jags. Well, guess what? Even though I think the Colts are a lot better than they showed in week 1, but it just bodes not so great for their win-losses, but it does bode well for passing yards, and in turn, obviously, receiving yards. So, you know, Campbell's got no real competition for the wide receiver too. You know, you got Hilton on the other side, and that guy, sometimes he doesn't stay healthy himself. So, you know, Campbell could see wide receiver 1 stuff. You know, and why I like this play, right? So I gave Darius Slayton as a wide receiver pick, right? And in football, especially with the market the way it is now, with everybody playing daily fantasy sports, you name it, it only takes 1 good game for you to get that card in hand and then flip it. And I said back in August, you know, weeks ago, almost a month ago, I said, you know, you'll be happy when you make this play and you have Darius Slayton's cards in hands and he goes for 100, 150 with 2 or 3 touchdowns. Well, in week 1, he had 100 with 2 touchdowns. Paris Campbell. It's funny because he's got Hilton on the other side, so I knew you'd make a Paris Hilton joke. Paris Campbell, he is playing against the Vikings defense in week 2, who just got shredded by Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams. This guy is not being bought up enough, as evidenced by my pick today. I went on eBay. I didn't buy him because I like to give our guys the ability to buy this stuff. I like you to listen to this. I like you to listen. It's getting harder, guys, because we're not getting to a point where in the first couple of hours we're having, you know, hundreds of people listen to these episodes. So make sure you subscribe. Make sure you're following. But my pick is Parris, Parris Campbell, Campbell. It is his 2019 Prism rookie card number 347, 2019 Prism Football. You can still find these cards in those complete your set, drop down, quantity, pull down, go look by number, and it's number 347. I see a seller selling them for less than $5. You want to pick up a silver, you want to pick up a parallel, just like we talked about with Slayton. You can't go wrong on these. It's another guy that he had enough targets, he had enough yards in week 1 that people are going to start picking him up on their fantasy team and going to start grabbing these $5 or less Prism base cards. So grab them now because it's not going to be something you're going to be able to grab for much longer at these prices. And that's it. There's my, you know, my low budget, low cost to entry. You know, you want to call it like a daily fantasy play. He has a good matchup coming up. His offense is on the up. He's got a quarterback who's going to throw, and it's a guy whose name you're going to hear.
I love it. By the way, I was looking up Paris Campbell. Went to St. Mary, and he's from Akron, Ohio.
The LeBron school, LeBron guy, right?
So if this guy goes off for 3 touchdowns, this is going to be all over LeBron's Instagram. That's my home. But yeah, Luca Nation, we love you guys. We appreciate all the support. We appreciate all the feedback, and we'll be back with another episode tomorrow. Hope you're able to make some plays.
We haven't mentioned it in a while, but if you're new to us, we also we do want a quick thank you shout out to our listeners. And you know, I don't know if we are going to mention in every episode, you name it, but when I remember it, I will. We have a promo code with Gem Mint Studios for their photography bundle that I use. I love. I just made a sale on eBay, and you know, the pictures were fantastic. Yeah, I haven't really. I'm trying not to sell too much on eBay, but you know, when I recommended Slayton to everybody, I waited 4 days and I went on eBay and I bought some Slayton myself. And, you know, I'm taking my own advice, right? I take it and I bought it, and, you know, he had his good game, and I'm not selling them all, but I got a really good offer on one. I still have a couple of other ones up. When I buy a lot. So, you know, I'm going to, I think Slayton's going to have a great year, but, you know, you can't miss out on an opportunity to, you know, really take some money off the table. I'll sell one of his
100%.
cards and get all the money back for everyone that I bought. So, you know,
well, taking money off the table doesn't mean you don't believe in a player. I had to do that today with my Tyler Hero cards. Like,
yep.
You could believe in a player, but at the same time, make sure that you're profitable and you're running a good business. But back to the point was, before we gave out the promo code for Gemmint Photo, GemMintPhotography.com, we got the studio shipped. We tested it.
Yep.
We use it. We make sure that what we're offering you actually works and adds value, and it has been. So it's GemMintPhotography.com, and it's for the trio, the bundle, the tripod, the magnifier with the light, and the studio, and you get 10% off using Luca Nation 10. That's the code, and free shipping. So if you have any questions, shoot us.
And we know quite a
DM.
few of you have already bought this. So when you do buy it, let us know. Let us know what you think. Let us know if there are any problems. Let us know, you know, what the what your results are with it. And you know, we're in talks with a bunch of other people to bring you other things like this that'll add value to your hobby day, right? So you know, and if you have any ideas, guys, I mean, listen, this is our family here, Luca Nation. You know, I mean, we're doing this here to help you guys out, to give you something to listen to, something, you know, entertaining, you know, find some picks, make some money, and, you know, continue to enjoy this hobby. We're all ears. You know, you want us to go out and help you in another area of the hobby, let us know. Send us a message and we'll do it. Thank you for spending some time with us on another episode of the Lucas, Tigers, and Bronze Oh My podcast. Do us a favor and like, subscribe. You know what? Don't just like and subscribe. Everybody does that. If you like us, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell your enemies, tell everybody. And we hope you got something from spending some time with us today, and we'll see you next time. Thank you.